Hello, scientists. It's Miss Hazel today. And today's the first day where we're trying something where the lesson is pre recorded and you watch and follow along with me so that we can do small group activities as well. All right. So exciting, right? You might have noticed when you were on today's lesson that we have a new scale and target. Woo! And that's because we already met our target from last week and the week before that and the week before that and the week before that, right? We are pros at using fossils to tell us about animals and habitats. All right? Now we're thinking. We learned the last few mysteries about dinosaurs and fossils, right? And dinosaurs are extinct, so that's why we need to use fossils to learn about them because they're no longer alive. But we're going to think about why it is that some animals survive and other animals do not. Okay? So this scale and target is something we're only going to use for this mystery. So the next 2 weeks, as we're on mystery 4. All right, so I look at the learning target. We are learning to identify traits that will help animals survive. So we need to identify traits that will help animals survive. Right, so once we can do that, target 3 says, I can identify traits that will help animals survive. Right, that's our goal by the end of this mystery. So by not this Friday, but the next Friday. So first, though, we have to explain what traits are. And you might be thinking, this sounds familiar to me. And it should, because when you check out your science word wall, this is lesson 16, we have traits. So I want you to think right now about that, right? Keep it in your brain. Do I know what that word means? What are traits? Okay? We're thinking, what are traits? I'm moving on to the mystery in 3, 2, 1, 0. If you need more time, you can hit pause on this video and then hit play when you are ready. So, here's the question we're focusing on the next 2 weeks. What kind of animals might there be in the future? What kind of animals might there be in the future? Because we know that there weren't always all the animals alive that are alive today, right? In fact, when dinosaurs were alive, there was an important animal missing, right? Humans. We weren't alive yet. So dinosaurs could have never probably imagined that something like humans would ever be alive. So we're going to kind of think, what animals might there be in the future? What type of animals might there be in the future? Well, this is kind of hard for me to just think of, right? It could be so many different things. And after all, if it's in the future, that means we have a while to go. So there are some questions that we can use to help us make predictions to answer this one, all right? Sorry, I know this is a word study anchor chart. My bad. Okay. So I'm thinking of questions to help us think of future animals. Number 1, will there be another meteor or something that will kill a lot of animals off? Right? Because we know something killed the dinosaurs off. Most people think it's a meteor, or it was a meteor. But regardless, we know there's a reason why they all just stopped existing, right? They went extinct. So I wonder if something like that will happen. Can you think of a question that could help us think of animals that might exist in the future? If you do think of a question, I'd be interested to hear it, so you can comment on Google Classroom this assignment and let us all know. If you didn't, that's okay. That's what we're here for, right? We're learning how to ask these questions as scientists, right? All right. So what kind of animals might there be in the future? Maybe this will help us.
Trilobites, dinosaurs, woolly mammoths.
Ooh.
These are all animals that went extinct.
Oh.
They're gone forever. But could we ever get new kinds of animals? Can we human beings even create or invent animals? Scientists haven't figured out how to invent animals yet, but we can slowly change how animals look. We do this by breeding two different animals together. That sounds genius, right? Now, I don't mean any two animals. For example, say you wanted a dinosaur-looking animal.
Okay, so Doug said we do this by breeding animals. I wonder if you know what that means if I said to breed an animal. Or what does it mean when he said breeding animals? Helps us kind of think about animals that we want there to be. So, breeding animals is basically when you decide, okay, living things are going to have their own children, right? So, let's hear more about that. So, Doug's saying you wouldn't breed.
You might consider starting with a giraffe.
Wait, let's see. My bad, guys.
Genius, right? Now, I don't mean any two animals.
Right,
For
you wouldn't
example,
breed any
say you
two.
wanted a dinosaur-looking animal. You might consider starting with a giraffe and crossing that with an iguana.
Right, so Doug's saying here, if you wanted an animal that looked like a dinosaur, and you could choose, okay, this giraffe and this iguana. If we breed them together, if they had children together, then maybe it would look like a dinosaur.
That would certainly look very dinosaur-like. But this will not work. In order to have babies, the animals have to be similar to each other. They have to be the same species or same kind of animal.
Right.
A giraffe and an iguana are totally different from each other. They're not even close to being the same species.
Yeah, what kind of animal is an iguana? Yeah, what kind of animal is a giraffe?
One is a furry horse-like mammal.
There we go.
The other is a scaly lizard reptile. It just won't work. But now two different iguanas, say a mother iguana and a father iguana, they're the same species. They can definitely have babies together. So how would we change how iguanas look by breeding them together?
Okay, so we know they're the same species, so they could have a baby together, right? And so now we're thinking, could we change how iguanas look? What if you were like, I really want a pet iguana that looks a certain way? Do you think we could change how they look? Let's see.
I mean, all iguanas look pretty much exactly the same, right? They're green, they got scales, they got spikes, but they really don't all look exactly the same. There are always small differences between each one. Say, for example, that these two iguanas had babies. What you'd notice is that, for the most part, all the babies look like their parents. They're all green, they have spikes on their back, they all have nice long tails. But they're not all exactly the same. For example, this one right here is slightly smaller than the others.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is slightly bigger than the others. This one has a few more spikes on his back. This one is a little bit yellow. And this one is a little bit blue. Say the one that was a little bit blue really caught your eye, and it happened to be a girl iguana. You thought, ooh, now I wish I could have even bluer colored iguanas than this. So you visit your friend who's been raising iguanas. Here's some of the iguanas he's got. If you wanted to get even bluer iguanas, which of your friend's iguanas would you pick to have babies with your iguana? Why?
So we want blue iguanas, right? We want even bluer than what we have. So we have this iguana in our corner here is our iguana. Okay. Now we have to pick one of these, A, B, C, D, E, or F, to have babies with our iguana. And we want it to be blue. That's the trait that we want. Ooh, trait. Yes, we heard that before. And hopefully we know what that means. If we forget, we can go to our word wall. Traits are characteristics of something, right? That might make a person or an animal different than others. Now, in this case, or the same in some cases, or not the same, nobody's ever the same, similar. You know what I mean? So traits are like describing words, right? And the trait that we really care about right now, the thing that we want is we want to get bluer iguanas. So being blue is the trait that we want. So when we breed animals, when there's breeding going on, that's picking two animals that you think when they have babies, it will get the trait that I want. So we want bluer iguanas, even bluer. So which iguana would you pick to have babies with your iguana up here? Which one of these do you think? I'm getting ready to click on the answer. If you need more time, you can hit pause. I'm going to click on the answer in 3, 2, 1, 0, go. Yeah, right? Iguana D, because it's the bluest. So it's more likely that the baby iguanas that these two will have will be blue, right? So we're going to pick iguana D to have babies with our iguana because we want a blue iguana. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop for now. All right. So our focus, this mystery, is on breeding and traits. So we're thinking about the trait we really want, and then we're going to decide which animals to breed together so we could get the trait that we want. But I think it's a good idea for us to have some practice first with thinking about traits. So what you're going to do, if you have enough time, right? If you don't have time before I close breakout rooms, that's okay. But this is a good way to get practice. So when you're on the lesson today, you have a Seesaw link, and it's going to take you to this activity here called Panda Traits. Okay? So you click on Add Response, go to your name. I am the sample student. And the directions told me to click on the T to write 5 traits that this panda has. So I'm going to click on the T because I see, oh, this thing means I can type. So I'm looking at this panda. I'm just going to say black and white fur. Okay? And I can keep it there, right? If I want, I can move it. I can make it smaller, whatever. Okay? And Miss Hazel said 5 traits. So I'm not done yet. I would do another and try to think of something. Okay? So that's the activity you can work on if you have time. When you are done, you will click the green check so that I know that you have completed it. Okay? So, again, right now you're going to stop this video and you are going to go to the Seesaw link. Remember, if you cannot find it for some reason, using this link, you can go on the Clever and get on the Seesaw that way. Then you click on Science and you go to Activities, and it should be the first one here, Panda Traits. You are practicing coming up with traits, thinking about traits with that panda. Okay? Get to work, scientists.